football player arrested on a child sex abuse charge. 18-year-old Greg Kelley was booked into the Williamson County Jail on Friday and bonded out the same day.
The Leander High School student is accused of sexually assaulting a young child.
According to an affidavit, between December of 2012 and June of 2013, Greg Kelley was living at this home in Cedar Park, which was also being used as an in-home daycare. Police say the 4-year-old told his mother he performed sexual acts on Kelley on 2 occasions while at the daycare. The arrest of 18-year-old Greg Kelley is bringing up questions.
I know that he was living in the home that was also a daycare business during the day, so there was regular contact or exposure to where the kids were.
Why was Kelley at the home? It's something no one has been able to answer.
An adult high school student taking advantage of little kids. There are people that are dramatically impacted, and in this particular case, I hope that everybody, keeps their eye on the fact that the victims here are 2 4-year-old children that have to live with whatever occurred for the rest of their life.
Jury selection begins today for a former Leander High School football player accused of sexually assaulting 2 boys.
Opening arguments are set to begin tomorrow morning in the trial of a Leander High School student accused of sexually assaulting young children. Prosecutors say Greg Kelley assaulted 2 boys at an in-home daycare in Cedar Park. That's the same home where Kelley lived. Kelley faces 2 charges: aggravated sexual assault of a child and indecency with a child.
Major developments in the trial of a man accused of sexually assaulting 2 young boys while he was in high school. Late this afternoon, one of those boys testified that this man, Gregory Kelley, never touched him. However, the other child said earlier today Kelley did assault him.
The second boy who testified said no to the sexual assault happening.
Did you ever touch Greg? What's your answer?
No.
No? Okay. Did Greg ever show you any lotion?
No.
The boys were in another courtroom and could be seen through a closed-circuit TV. The first young boy who testified described how Kelley sexually assaulted him twice at the daycare. The child said he told Kelley no, but Kelley assaulted him anyways.
He just did it anyways? Well, how did that make you feel when he did that? Angry.
We also heard from the mother of the second alleged victim, who was understandably emotional. She testified as to what her young son told her about Greg Kelley.
I asked him, what did you just say? And he repeated it again.
The mother says her son shuts down after talking about what allegedly happened and tries to say, never mind, everything is okay.
Child sexual assault trial of Greg Kelley enters its 2nd week today.
ABU Shannon Murray is live at the Williamson County Courthouse in Georgetown, where that trial is expected to wrap up this week. Hi, Shannon.
Jessica, this morning we've been listening to testimony from Greg Kelley's family, friends, and Leander High School football coaches. They all describe him as a dedicated athlete. Also heard testimony from the woman who owned the daycare where those alleged sexual assaults happened. Kelley lived there because his parents got sick, and he went to stay with a friend whose parents owned it. Shama McCarty has admitted she cared for more children than she legally should have at her in-home daycare. On the stand, she frequently said she didn't remember things like where the children slept or if they interacted with Kelley. But prosecutors pointed to inconsistencies with statements she's previously given to investigators. They say she, quote, doesn't remember things that might be harmful to Kelley. He testified he knew the children and would sometimes see them around the home.
If I would go into the playroom, they would all kind of jump on me and on my arms. And, they were kind of on hyper mode, so they would come and jump on me, and I would kind of play with them back.
Gym owner Phil Forbes. He testified Kelley worked out at the gym and claimed to be a sniper for the Marine Corps.
I was pretty upset for being lied to. It's just, people shouldn't lie about military service.
Forbes told the jury he wouldn't believe anything Kelley said.
KXAN's Lindsay Bramson is live at the courthouse where the jury is deliberating right now. Lindsay?
The jury has been deliberating now for nearly 6 hours. Now, this comes after a very emotional morning here in the courtroom as both sides argued their final points. Both prosecutors and the defense left the jury with some strong words and a lot to think about.
You heard from a lot of people yesterday that the defendant is a dedicated football player, a devoted boyfriend, safe around kids. He is who he needs to be in front of people.
We're here today because of emotions and how they affect us when we talk about children.
You talk about Shama's daycare, folks. Is everything you've heard this week convinced you that this is absolutely the kind of place where this could happen? It should.
Kelly's defense attorney, Patricia Cummings, argued what the two young victims told their parents may not be true.
I'm not saying that I believe those parents concocted this story and said, we got to get Greg. Because the truth is, I don't know what we got. All I know is we got a lot of issues.
But if you look at the law and you look at the evidence, you're going to find him guilty. And that's the only proper verdict in this case, folks.
What parent could possibly want this child to know about oral sex at the age of 4?
After more than 12 hours of deliberation, a Williamson County jury reaches a verdict overnight in Greg Kelley's sexual assault trial.
They found the former Leander High School athlete guilty of super aggravated sexual assault.
Verdict of the jury, count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant, Gregory Kelley, guilty of the offense of super aggravated sexual assault as alleged in count 2 of the indictment.
And I'm not going to lie and take a deal and play their games, because when I face the Almighty, He's all about truth, and I'm not going to admit to something that I didn't do. So I can serve the Lord behind bars, but I can't serve Him with a clear conscience and take a deal and get 10 years instead of 25 and admit to something that I didn't do. Yeah. A guilty man doesn't do that, people. They take the deal.
They do.
They
Tonight, a stunning turn of events inside the Williamson County Courthouse. Good evening, I'm Walt McNaborski.
And I'm Hema Muller. Greg Kelley has accepted a deal, sentencing him to 25 years in prison.
Kelley's attorney spent the afternoon talking with prosecutors, and they came to a plea deal. That deal is 25 years with no parole, and Kelley cannot appeal.
Many people watching this case were surprised by that plea deal. How unusual would a plea deal be in a case like this after the verdict but before a sentence?
Well, it's not that unusual. A lot of times in a hard-fought case like this, the parties will come to some type of an agreement once the decision as to whether the defendant is guilty or not has been reached. Obviously, that's been reached in this case, and so it's not unusual that the parties would come back together and say, can we resolve the case now for some agreed level of punishment.
He chose to take the plea deal.
Jim, what Kelley's lawyer argues is that one of the jurors in this case did not believe that Kelley was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. In an affidavit submitted today, he says that juror was pressured into voting the way that he did.
Heading through the Williamson County Courthouse, Keith Hampton, attorney for convicted sex offender 19-year-old Greg Kelley,
walks into the district clerk's office and hands over his paperwork.
I just filed a motion for new trial in the Greg Kelley case.
Says Kelley wasn't rightly convicted, claiming all 12 jurors didn't believe he was guilty.
12. You got to have 12 people say, we're convinced you're guilty.
In a sworn affidavit, one juror says, I was the holdout. The rest of the jury was livid at me. I said guilty when pulled against my better judgment. That juror's name was not released to the public. While Hampton believes that new revelation could turn the tide in Kelley's favor, Assistant District Attorney Joffrey Puryear cites Texas Rule of Evidence 606B, which states in part, upon an inquiry into the validity of a verdict or indictment, motion for a new trial, any juror may not testify as to any matter or statement occurring during the jury's deliberations, nor may a juror's affidavit or any statement by a juror concerning any matter about which the juror would be precluded from testifying be admitted in evidence.
The information that's contained in that motion, again, is either information that the jury had access to or is specifically excluded by the rules of evidence.
Kelley had contended he was entitled to a new trial based on a juror who claims he did not believe the defendant was guilty, although he had previously reached a unanimous verdict with the other jurors.
Somebody coming back after the fact and saying, now that I've been exposed to, friends' reactions to the verdict or the media's reactions to the verdict, that really, and what the law says is, once they're polled, that is a final sale item.
Prosecutors say it's not that they're not open to hear new evidence, but those claims were never supported by facts.
No efforts have been made to actually bring forth any witnesses to our office, any new facts to our office, to maybe give us a second, chance to pause, look at it, review it, to see if we could actually join in this motion. We certainly don't want anyone ever wrongfully convicted of. Did you not want to provide what information you might have that we needed for this case?
I don't have anything to provide you all.
Okay. Did somebody tell you not to talk to us?
No.
Greg Kelley took the stand to testify if he sexually assaulted 2 boys at a daycare.
He did get to tell his story. He testified on the stand. He did actually have an opportunity to tell his full side of the story.
Jessica, this morning we've been listening to testimony from Greg Kelley's family, friends, and Leander High School football coaches. They all describe him as a dedicated athlete. Also heard testimony from the woman who owned the daycare where those alleged sexual assaults happened.
Convicted of killing his wife, but Williamson County District Attorney Jana Duty says there's no comparison with Kelley's case.
This was a very fair trial. This was a very fair process.
Duty says there was DNA evidence that set Michael Morton free, but also verbal evidence from Morton's son.
All of the testimony of that 3.5-year-old little boy was credible, and it helped free his father. And so now the irony to say that these 2 4-year-old little boys shouldn't be trusted because they're 4 is just absurd.
A new trial has been denied for Greg Kelley, the former Leander football star found guilty of sexual assault. Fox 7's Ashley Pretiz is joining us live at the Williamson County Justice Center with more. Ashley?
Christine, it was this afternoon when Judge Larry Guest of Beaumont made his decision on this case.
To 25 years institutional division.
Justice has been delayed but ultimately served. Words from the Williamson County District Attorney's Office.
Their prayers were answered. They've been asking and praying for justice this entire time, and I believe their prayers were answered.
Tuesday afternoon, Judge Larry Guest denied 19-year-old Gregory Kelley's motion for a new trial. His court order affirms what 12 Williamson County jurors had already determined, that is, that Kelley is guilty of super aggravated sexual assault of a child.
I know we were supposed to talk about what kind of punishment we feel is suitable for you, but how do you put a number on this? I just hope in whatever time that has been given to you, you will come to a full understanding of what you have done and the impact that it has made on so many lives.
Adding, they are suffering as well.
We thought we were taking him to a place where he could learn and grow and make new friends, and instead we've been left with nothing but heartache.
The other thing that I think keeps getting lost on this is the victims. You know, all of the focus is on Mr. Kelley, and the victims are getting lost in all of this. After sentencing, the parents went home. One of the little boys asked what happened, and his mother said, well, Greg's going to jail for what he did. And that little boy started crying, and when his mother said, well, why are you crying? He said, because I should go to jail, because I did it too. You know, he felt that he should be punished because of his part in that behavior. So let's not forget about the boys, okay? Let's not forget about the victims. That's what, you know, that's what we pursue, is justice for children.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal.
Bingo, boom, boom, chaka-laka-laka, boom, 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 chaka-laka, boom.